But the big story that we are breaking this evening, the stage is set for the Waqf Bill showdown in Parliament. The bill will be brought in the Lok Sabha tomorrow at noon. Kiran Rijiju, the Minorities Affairs Minister, expected to table the bill, and Home Minister Amit Shah among those who's likely to speak on it. India allies have made up their mind to vote against Waqf Bill and will meet in Parliament tomorrow. Two key allies of the government, the JDU and the TDP, are almost on board to support the government. So both sides now gearing up. Let's listen in to how it's going to play out.
It is fundamentally against the constitutional provisions. We cannot support the provisions against the constitution. All the parties who attended the meeting, all the parties of India Alliance attended the meeting, and some more like-minded party will also be there tomorrow. We will strongly oppose the provisions which are anti-constitutional on this.
पूरा इंडिया गठबंधन हम सब एक है. कल हम डिबेट चाहते हैं और पूरी ताकत से हम डिबेट करेंगे और हम सब इंडिया अलायंस पूरी ताकत से कल पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे.
We will be expressing our opinions as one, and we'll come together and oppose this bill as parties who believe in the secularism of this country, and we believe in protecting the minorities and the majority of this country, and we will stand together to protect the constitution of this country.
सरकार ये कह रही है कि विपक्ष जो है बरकरार आ रहा है.
अब देखो सभी चीजें हमारे ऑर्गेनाइजिंग सेक्रेटरी है, आपको ब्रीफ करेंगे.
Okay, let's go across to our two correspondents, Maushmi Singh, who's been tracking that opposition meeting that just concluded, and Piyush Mishra, who's tracking what the government treasury benches intend to do. Maushmi Singh, to you first, because that meeting of the opposition parties just got over late this evening. Are the opposition parties now ready for a discussion on the Waqf Bill, or is the intention to somehow block even a discussion and try and attempt an adjournment of Parliament over the Waqf Bill? What is the opposition strategy?
Really, Rajdeep, something is really brewing in the opposition camp. There was a clarity over what they had to say after they walked out of that meeting of the mega of the opposition in the evening that saw Rahul Gandhi and Kharge attend that meeting, and they said that we will oppose the bill. Now, there are two strategies that are being discussed. One is to oppose the bill tooth and nail, not allow any discussion to go on, whether it's sloganeering or entering the well, adopt all the strategies possible so that the bill doesn't even see any progress, or the discussion does not happen. And on the other hand, the other strategy is to oppose the bill in terms of participating in the discussion and voting against the bill. And as of now, I feel that the leaders are keeping the cards very close to their hearts. In fact, in detail plan out a strategy. I spoke to one of the top leaders in the opposition, and he said the night is still there, and we need to really chalk out a strategy later in the night. So perhaps the discussions are on.
Okay, the discussions are on. So the opposition keeping its options open. What about the government? Piyush Mishra, one of the government's aims was to ensure two key allies, JDU and TDP, are on board, especially JDU, which has a Bihar election a few months from now. Has the government succeeded in ensuring a united front? Because if they have the united front, as the numbers on the screen show, the government can pass the bill. So is the government confident that all allies are on board? Okay, we'll try and go back to Piyush in a moment. Remember, what we are picking up is that all the government allies as of now are on board. That includes the Telugu Desam, which Chandrababu Naidu wanted a certain key amendments to ensure that the state government also had a role in the Waqf Board, and the JDU, which has an election. So both those parties at the moment seem to be on board, and if they are on board, then that gives the government a comfortable majority in the Lok Sabha, and then they bring it into the Rajya Sabha on Thursday. So the government certainly appears determined at the moment to try and push the Waqf Bill through. The question is, of course, How will Parliament function? Will there be a full discussion? 8 hours have been allotted to the bill. Remember, the contentious Waqf Amendment Bill set to be tabled in the Lok Sabha tomorrow, and that is our top focus. In a moment, I'll be joined by one of the country's top legal scholars to explain what this bill is all about. But first, take a look at our top story.
The stage is set for a fiery showdown over the Waqf Amendment Bill. The bill will be tabled at around noon on Wednesday as per the decision taken in Lok Sabha Business Advisory Committee.
The total time to be allocated for discussion on Waqf Amendment Bill would be 8 hours, extendable after taking the sense of the House.
Rajdeep warned opposition against fear-mongering on Waqf.
मैं सिर्फ हाथ जोड़ करके कहता हूं कि अगर बिल में बोलने के लिए कुछ नहीं है तो बहाना बना करके टाइम का बिजनेस एडवाइजरी कमेटी का बहाना बना करके वॉकआउट करने का ये सब मत कीजिए। जो समय तय किया गया है खुलकर बोलिए, हम सुनना चाहता हूं और एक पॉइंट एक सेक्शन क्लोज का हम जवाब देने के लिए बिल्कुल तैयार हैं।
Though TDP and JDU have cautioned the centre against implementing the new law retrospectively, saying they will reveal their cards after going through Waqf law draft.
अभी भी जो कुछ आ रहा है उसमें हमारे पार्टी और नीतीश कुमार जी से बहुत लोग मिले थे। ये जरूर हम लोग के तरफ से है कि भाई रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव नहीं हो, अगर पास्ट में कोई बात है तो उसको उस पर कोई आंच नहीं आए। ये हम लोगों ने जरूर, हमारी पार्टी ने कहा था, मुझे लगता है जरूर जो कमेटी है सरकार है इसको ध्यान में रखेगी।
UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath slammed loot of public land in garb of Waqf.
ये व्यक्तिगत स्वार्थ का ये अड्डे बने हुए हैं। चंद लोगों के लिए लूट खसोट के अड्डे बने हुए हैं। किसी भी सरकारी प्रॉपर्टी पर जबरन काबिज करने का एक माध्यम बना हुआ है। और रिफॉर्म इस समय की मांग है। हर रिफॉर्म का विरोध होता है, लेकिन देश काल और परिस्थिति के अनुसार हमें उस प्रकार के रिफॉर्म के लिए तैयार होना चाहिए।
The opposition has slammed the Waqf bill, calling it a calculated ploy to deprive Muslims of land and a direct attack on constitution.
जब से सत्ता में बीजेपी आई है, बीजेपी का उद्देश्य सिर्फ ये रहा है कि किस तरह से इस देश में सद्भाव बिगड़े। ऐसा है, ये तो बिल आ रहा है, बिल नहीं आया उससे पहले प्रॉपर्टी नहीं छीनी जा रही। लोग प्रॉपर्टी छोड़िए, लोगों को जान से मारा जा रहा है, लोगों की हत्याएं की जा रही हैं, लोगों को पुलिस संरक्षण में मारा जा रहा है, तो प्रॉपर्टी छीनने का अगर उन्हें संदेह है, डर है तो सही है।
ये वक्फ बिल अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है। ये वक्फ बिल आर्टिकल 14, आर्टिकल 25, 26, 29 का ग्रेव वायलेशन है। ये वक्फ बिल नहीं है बल्कि ये वक्फ बर्बाद बिल है। ये
Will the Waqf bill pass Lok Sabha test or there is a surprise in store? With Ashwara Paliwal, Bureau Report, India Today.
So amidst the political din, my first task is to try and get an explanation for this contentious bill. Who better than Faizan Mustafa, Professor and Vice Chancellor at Chanakya National Law University, one of the country's leading legal scholars on these issues. Appreciate your joining us, Professor Mustafa. Tell our viewers, why is this Waqf Amendment Bill so contentious? What exactly is the bill about according to you? Because we are getting two views. There is the Owaisi view, which is that this bill is against the Muslim community. And there is the view of the government who claims that they are trying to reform the Waqf Board. Where is the truth, sir?
No, the truth is always in the middle, Rajdeep. There are few provisions in the bill which can be welcomed, even though the question will remain whether we are moving away from the stated goal of one nation, one law. Say, inclusion of women, inclusion of OBCs, non-Muslims. Personally speaking, these are welcome provisions. The diversity of the nation must be reflected everywhere. In any case, the Waqf Board, Rajdeep, is a statutory authority. Many of us believe, and many anchors, I'm so sorry to say this, believe that Waqf Board is some private body of Muslim clergy and they can claim any land. Nothing can be further than truth. It's a statutory body, and therefore it is a state within the meaning of Article 12. Most of the members of the Waqf Board are nominated by the state governments. No property can be declared as a Waqf property by the Waqf Board on its own. A survey commissioner who is a public servant, a government employee, has all the powers of a civil court, will make a survey, will make a recommendation to the Waqf Board. Waqf Board is a statutory authority. Then Waqf Board will make another recommendation to the state government. Only when the state government publishes in its official gazette, in the Raj Patra, so to say in Hindi, it would become a Waqf property.
Sir, if I may then come to the specifics. The specific and the principal objection to the bill seems to be it will lead to greater regulation and control by the state. The state will have enormous discretionary powers. Do you believe that that is a concern? Should that be a concern that both at central and state level, the government will now start running these Waqf properties?
Yeah, correct, Rajdeep. You would be surprised that you have religious properties of non-Muslims in the country. You have of Hindus, of Christians, of Sikhs. Waqf is a religious property of Muslims, but it is already most regulated. You have a central law in respect of religious properties of Muslims, but you don't have a central law in respect of religious properties of Hindus. Already the Waqf Board has far extensive powers if you compare them with the Joint Commissioner of Religious Endowments and Charities in Tamil Nadu or in Kerala or in Karnataka or Andhra Pradesh or in Telangana. So Waqf is highly regulated already. Now the bill is going to further tighten the control. The question to me is that we are changing the name of the Waqf. Now this is a 4-letter term which is unique to Islamic law. In fact, even the English law of trust was borrowed from law of Waqf, even though both are slightly different, because in Waqf the property is not vested in the trustee, it is vested in God, and generally the Waqif who is creating a Waqf cannot retain any benefit for himself. Nevertheless, what we are trying to do, now we are suggesting about a 50-letter term for this word, Waqf. And we are saying we are going to improve management, we are going to improve the efficiency. Change of name does not change anything on ground. If the idea is, Rajdeep, to improve the efficiency of Waqf boards, and I am conceding, like many government departments, as I told you, that Waqf Board is like a government department, it has government nominees, is inefficient. There have been, charges of corruption about governments, about political leaders, about bureaucrats, about judges. So there may be some corruption in Waqf Board as well. But the remedy we are prescribing, is it going to make the Waqf management more efficient? Now, if you are reducing the powers of the regulator of Waqf, now Waqf Board is what? It regulates the management. There are thousands and lakhs of managers of Waqf properties who are called mutawallis. Waqf Board is an apex body to manage and supervise the work of mutawallis. If we are going to reduce their powers, how can they improve the efficiency of administration?
You mentioned the question of efficiency versus the question of unaccountability. Those in government who are saying that this bill is needed are saying that Waqf boards are unaccountable. Do you see anything in this new bill that will ensure greater accountability of those who manage Waqf properties?
No, there is a greater accountability, but not at the desired level of the mutawallis. We are trying to reduce the power of the regulator. The greater accountability should be in respect of managers of Waqf on ground. We are trying to regulate, let us say, not the assemblies but the parliament. That is not a good idea. Ideally, greater punishment should be provided to mutawallis. There are some provisions which are an improvement in terms of punishment of mutawallis in the bill. But as such, in terms of encroachment of Waqf properties, I believe that the protection of Waqf is being reduced. It is not being improved. There is absolutely no denial of a fact that there may be corruption in Waqf, but the remedy we are providing, is it a good remedy? That is what should be debated.
So let's debate that. In a sense, you're saying that you do need some level of, a greater level of accountability. You're not sure whether the bill provides that. I want to understand from you the other question, that the worry is that the bill therefore will be used as a weapon. And there is this fear-mongering going on, particularly among minorities and Muslims, that tomorrow this is going to be a direct intervention in minority affairs. Do you believe that this bill does that or not?
Rajdeep, if I had power as a legal academic, instead of bringing the Waqf bill, I would have brought a uniform law on religious properties for all communities with almost identical provisions. Because that would have fulfilled my promise of one nation, one law, and a constitutional mandate of a uniform civil code. Different laws which have different provisions. So we have one provision for the Hindu religious properties, another for Sikh properties, and a third for Muslim properties is not a great idea. And if the Muslim community feels that in respect of their religious properties, particularly graveyards and mosques and this and that, Waqf by user, we are trying to take away those properties, I think the government has a duty to convince them. Whenever the British government was passing law about natives or any religious community, it was taking them on board. In many cases, a member of that community was nominated to Imperial Legislative Assembly to pilot the bill. I think we are trying not to make them convinced about the utility of the bill. Rather, we are playing it to the gallery and telling the majority community that we have, fixed the Muslim community in terms of Waqf, which is not a good politics in my opinion.
Professor Faizan Mustafa, for giving us a sense as to why this bill is so contentious. I appreciate you joining me and explaining really what the Waqf Board is all about. Thank you very much. We'll of course turn to the politics around it in the days ahead once that bill is tabled inside Parliament. Now, speaking of what could happen in a day or two, a day ahead of US President Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs kicking in, global markets are volatile, with investors bracing for potential trade conflicts and their economic impact. Across the world, investors have seen red. Dalal Street was no different. For a second day, the Nifty is down a massive 354 points. The Sensex also melting, and volatility high, as I said, across the markets. Asian equities rose today, with Japan's Nikkei up by 0.6% and South Korea's Kospi up by 0.9%. The question, of course, is how is all this going to play out? How should India be looking at Donald Trump's tariffs? Joining me now, Chetan Bhutani from Business Today, and also Arun Sharma, Senior Non-Resident Fellow at CSIS in Washington, D.C., joins me. I want to come to you, Arun, first in Washington. What are we expecting? What is the world expecting from Donald Trump? Will his bark be worse than his bite come tomorrow, which he says is going to be the big day when he announces these reciprocal tariffs? Okay, I'm going to go to Chetan Bhutani first. Chetan, how is India seeing this at the moment?
Well, Rajdeep, the markets, as you correctly mentioned, is absolutely spooked with the Liberation Day tariff of the United States coming up. Well, if I talk about the markets, the IT sector especially, very spooked and sharply fell today due to its substantial exposure to the United States. But uncertainty over the Trump tariffs really looms. In fact, if I could talk about something positive, is of course towards a possible rate cut that the MPC could be doing between the April 7 to April 9 is something really the investors and the traders are really watching out for the Indian markets. But also, what really we have to see is the fact that now we have the fourth quarter earnings coming up for the Indian business corporates. Over the past 3 quarters, we saw muted to substantial to flattish kind of earnings from the Indian corporate houses. So that's all being accommodated into the market. Yesterday, in fact, we saw that the Asian markets fell about close to 4%, and today, as we see, Dow Jones is a little bit flattish to up about 60 points up. So clearly, experts are, however, Rajdeep saying that India is still well poised and towards global competition, and one should of course keep an eye on what's really happening. But what to really watch out for is to the MPC meeting that the RBI is currently holding. But yes, Indian markets poised to be, and of course in a very good condition as of now.
Arun Sharma joining me from Washington. Arun Sharma, are we expecting Trump's bark to be worse than his bite?
This is the uncertainty that we are all struggling with and the markets are struggling with. There has been volatility as Trump has gone and climbed down on a couple of occasions already. And so there is that uncertainty, which is why there is a lot of feeling in the market as to we don't know, and an uncertainty discount is showing in the global markets from all countries, all regions, that is Asia, Europe, even the United States. All markets are down for that precise reason, because all these tariffs have been levied not in one particular schematic or strategic way, but in dribs and drabs, in spurts and in waves. And then there have been climb downs as well. So the market is certainly spooked by it. And the challenge is twofold, Rajdeep. First, there is the risk that people are seeing of an immediate impact on companies, sectors, and then markets. That's the immediate impact of the volatility per se. The second, more deeper concern, and that is what is impacting the asset allocation and therefore the movements in the markets, is whether this uncertainty will lead to deeper macroeconomic negative impacts around consumer sentiment, around capital investment, around the shift in the interest of people to scale up their activities that they were planning to. And that is what is showing in the increase, in the record increase, in fact, in the price of gold, which hit record heights of $32.90 just yesterday. And that
what's your bet? Is Mr. Trump going to go ahead with uniform reciprocal tariffs across the world? Will he give certain countries a relative free pass? Could India be among those countries? Or do you believe he will go after every country at the moment? What's your sense that you're getting?
My sense is actually quite similar to the rest of the market, which is nobody knows. Even in his statements, if you analyze it carefully, he said, well, I will be generous, or things will be generous. We really don't know what the term generous means. Does it mean will he give some countries a free pass? Will it mean that certain reciprocity levels will be determined on what he believes and what the administration believes means by reciprocity? It's all very, very uncertain. So it's very hard to predict. But one thing is sure, that we are in for a volatile period, and that companies and countries have to be prepared to adjust and adjust rapidly. So a couple of companies already have announced, especially in the auto sector, changes in pricing where they're saying, I'm going to absorb some of the tariff costs and I'm going to only pass some of the cost to my customers. So it is that kind of practical challenge that is spooking the companies and therefore the markets and therefore the investors. And that's what we're going to see for some time.
Okay. I think you put it well. It is an uncertain world in the world of Donald Trump, and we don't know what the next 24 hours will hold. We don't even know whether he will make an announcement formally in the morning, evening, or even midnight. The world waits and sees what Donald Trump does with tariffs tomorrow. I appreciate Arun Sharma and Chetan Bhutani for joining me on that explainer. So why has a Kerala film angered the entire Sangh Parivar? Are filmmakers unable to deal with political pressure? Is censorship on the rise? Just some of the questions we will raise. I'm joined by M.G. Radhakrishnan, senior journalist based in Thiruvananthapuram. Anand Kochikudi, journalist and columnist, joins me. And Rahul Ishwar is also with us. He's a Hindu activist, as he likes to project himself, apart from being an author. I appreciate all of you joining us. I want to come to you, M.G. Radhakrishnan, first, because you've tracked Kerala for decades. Have you seen something like this, where a film bends to cut 17 scenes because of political pressure, allegedly? Is it clear that this is the filmmakers fearful of the centre in particular, even Mohanlal issuing an apology?
Well, it has never happened, Rajdeep, before, because Kerala film industry has been known for films with very, very pronounced political messages, political critiques, and even top leaders have been, extremely criticized in a number of movies, irrespective of their political parties and colors. But such a thing has never happened. This is something which Idi Amin of Uganda said some time back. I can give you freedom of speech, but I cannot ensure freedom after speech. No, Empuraan has been released and released with the proper censor board certification and all. And then after that, now the producers have been forced to introduce 24 cuts. This has never happened before.
Is it specifically, though, Mr. Radhakrishnan, because part of the movie tracks the Gujarat 2002 riots? Is that the concern, or are there wider concerns about the way politics is depicted?
Not at all. I don't think so. This is exclusively a Gujarat. The references about Gujarat riots that have been, that has caused this huge anger from the BJP leaders and their Sangh Parivar. And the film actually mentions very graphically about what happened in 2012 in Gujarat. And in fact, but the film never says, it's been done by BJP or anything. It's actually, they put the criminals who, perpetrated all that gory violence in Gujarat. And the film even, goes out of the way to say, to portray that it is not the Hindu community which should be blamed, because there's a Hindu lady who has been portrayed as the person who goes out of the way to protect, to shield the kind of the Muslim neighbors in her locality, to help them out, and in the process she herself becomes a martyr to this hooligans.
Right.
So this is actually, you can in no way can portray this film as anti-Hindu or anti-national, as the BJP leaders, not the party as such, but the leaders and the entire Sangh Parivar in social media have portrayed.
Anand Kochukudi, in your view, why has this film particularly triggered so much of outrage? We thought the BJP was a marginal force in Kerala, but clearly it's a growing force, large enough today to get the actor of a film to, one of the biggest stars of Malayalam cinema to apologize and get the filmmakers to cut 17 scenes already.
Yeah, for one, Rajdeep, the actor, the superstar Mohanlal, who acts in the film, he is somewhat sympathetic to the BJP and the Sangh Parivar. So it was easy for the Sangh Parivar to intervene here and create political pressure on the makers, namely Prithviraj, the director, who is a well-known actor himself, and Murali Gopi, the writer. So I'm not sure whether Prithviraj and Murali Gopi would have consented to the cuts had Mohanlal not been a part of this film. So the Sangh Parivar cleverly used their hold or their closeness to Mohanlal to enforce these cuts, is what I would say. And Rahul Ishwar, my friend, is here. He would perfectly know the behind-the-scenes activity. There are people like Major Ravi, who is a former army personnel turned filmmaker, who came first to make statements, who gave statements to the media. as if he was speaking as an agent of Mohanlal, which was proved to be, untrue later. And Mohanlal's producer, Anthony Perumbavoor himself, had to, distance himself from the statements of Major Ravi. So I'm sure that there is a lot of behind-the-scenes activity. It was not clearly the BJP which took the lead on this. It was the RSS, the Sangh Parivar. Rajdeep, you have to understand that the Sangh Parivar was always a force to reckon with in Kerala. They have the second largest number of shakhas anywhere in the country in Kerala. But the BJP was, of course, as you said, a marginal force in Kerala. True, but following the 2024 Lok Sabha election, when the BJP managed to raise its vote share to almost 20%, and the Hindu vote bank of the CPIM gradually began to erode and switch to the BJP, the Sangh Parivar and the BJP sees an opportunity to try and emerge as a Hindu party by taking the votes of the CPIM. So there are lots of factors at play here.
So it's interesting, you're giving us a sense of the politics that's playing out in Kerala at the moment, the rise of the Sangh Parivar in recent times, both politically and culturally. Rahul Ishwar, you're back with us. Rahul Ishwar, is this, when the film Kerala Files was released a few years ago, there were people in Kerala who had objected to certain scenes, particularly from the left parties at the time, but there were no cuts of this kind. Now suddenly, the outrage has provoked 17 cuts, almost unprecedented in a film of this kind. Is this showing the growing clout of the Sangh Parivar? Does the Sangh Parivar not believe in freedom after speech?
Rajdeep, sir, 3 humble and quick points. 1, I'm a Hindu right-wing activist, but that doesn't mean we should have Islamophobia. See, this movie is a great movie, but this movie has overstated some things regarding the Hindu right-wing. For example, there is a scene where a Hindutva leader says, we will bomb a dam and we will drown 2 districts, which will result in the killing of lakhs of people. See, this is overstretching. I really like the movie. It is very courageous of Prithviraj and Mohanlal sir to show all this, but at the same point of time, there has been some references which is stretching it too far. Second point, the real issue is the loss of the middle ground. Either you are an ultra-leftist or you are an ultra-rightist. There is no middle ground. No, that's there. So there should be a space where we respectfully disagree with the movie while we celebrate this achievement. This is a KGF of Kerala movie industry. This will take us to a pan-Indian, pan-global level. But one humble request, they could have shown somebody in BJP and RSS as good. Entire BJP RSS spectrum is shown as villains and bad. That is unfair and unfortunate. Modi ji got a clean sheet from the courts. They could have portrayed Modi ji in a good light. But to say that the entire family of RSS and BJP is wrong, it is stereotyping. Second, and third, at least, and I believe Godhra could have been represented better. Gujarat and Godhra both are scars in the soul of India. At the same point of time, playing up Gujarat and underplaying Godhra will naturally trigger reactions. So this is a political statement too. The movie is a brilliant movie. But the movie has a political subtext and a text too. So it's natural that our Sangh brothers and BJP brothers will rise up against.
No, but I thought that I thought Rahul Ishwar that Kerala was a land where you could make such films without worrying about the repercussions. Clearly, that has changed. Now it seems the moment you make a film like this and there is public outrage, the filmmakers are pushed on the back foot.
See, we had the same outrage regarding Kerala story. I also led the protest. I said 3 girls went was right, but 32,000 is wrong. See, the issue with left and right is left will tell regarding Kerala story that no girl went. The right will tell that it is 32,000 girls. Both are wrong. The truth is somewhere in the middle. There is a loss of middle ground. That is a real issue. Kerala story exaggerated 3 girls story into 30,000, which is absolutely wrong. In this case also, there is a middle ground, and Mohanlal sir didn't apologize. He expressed regret, and he came to a beautiful middle ground where he acknowledged that there are sadness to some people. He expressed regret. He didn't apologize. He didn't disown Prithviraj, but rather took the onus and responsibility, saying, I knew all about the story. And Mohanlal is perceivably close to Sangh. So young people were very offended that Mohanlal could hem such a movie. So there is a complicated nuance to the entire matter. And one last line. It will be interesting for you to know that Prithviraj's mother was a campaigner for Modi ji. She campaigned for BJP actively last time. But Prithviraj is an anti-Hindutva person. See, this is the beauty of India. This is the pluralism. This is the political pluralism. We should be applauding.
That's precisely what MG Radhakrishnan, is that pluralism somewhere lost? Is Kerala becoming the latest example of the manner in which some group can decide that they don't approve of a particular, in Mumbai they may not approve of a comic character, of a stand-up comedian. Kerala they don't approve of a film scene, and therefore the pluralism that is just spoken by Rahul Ishwar is actually getting more and more diluted. That today you have to conform. Unless you conform, you will struggle to get your film through or do a stand-up comedy act. We thought Kerala was different.
Absolutely, Rajdeep. That is the most disturbing aspect of the entire incident, because it is happening in Kerala. And that too without the BJP or any agency, any sort of security agency or any court or saying, or even censor board coming in to sort of ask them to do any cuts. The producers themselves volunteer to do this kind of complete re-editing. So this is actually extremely worrying, because this shows the atmosphere of fear that's prevalent in the country, which is Kerala also part of it, and it has crept into Kerala also, and also the chilling effect that certain things have happened, certain things have actually created. For instance, people like Mohanlal or Prithviraj would never like to be a Stan Swami or a GN Sai Baba or a Gauri Lankesh or Dhabolkar. They are ordinary people or film people or artists or industrialists. So they wouldn't like to take such kind of a risk. And that too, and the film, as mentioned earlier, this is the first, the largest, the film with the highest budget ever in Kerala history. And Kerala, in this particular film, through this film, the industry is trying to sort of, get out of that limited borders of Kerala geography. It is trying to have a pan-Indian market. So it is exactly when this industry is trying to do this, that this kind of threats are rising. So naturally, they would be afraid, they would be terrified, and that is what has happened. So in Kerala, it has happened. Is extremely worrying, as you said.
But at the same time, the filmmakers are laughing their way to the bank, Anand Kochukudi. The film has already crossed 200 crores. It's on its way to becoming one of the blockbusters of the year. We saw it also with Chhawa. Nothing succeeds quite like controversy, Anand.
Yeah, that's true. To be fair, this movie is not actually that great compared to its first installment, Lucifer, which was released 5 or 6 years ago. So people had a lot of expectations riding on this film. They thought that it would be even better than Lucifer, but it turned out to be, much worse than expected. But then the controversy has catapulted the film into such a huge hit, and I think the makers would have wanted to make these cuts. They would have wanted to compromise on some of their creative freedom. Purely on the basis of business reasons. They wanted the film to, make as much money as possible. And this wouldn't have happened without the controversy. This film would have probably ended up as a sub 100 crore film, because the film is not as entertaining, remotely as entertaining as its first part. Now there's a third installment. I don't know whether that will ever happen.
But does it boil down, Rahul Ishwar, that the moment you make today, even in a state like Kerala, a film with political connotations? There was a time when Kerala showed the way on films with strong political connotation. That was the nature of Kerala's film industry. Now it seems, after this, there could be a pushback. Should that not be of concern to people, that you're not that cinematic expression will now always come against these offended sentiments? Someone's sentiment is offended, 17 scenes are cut.
Rajdeep sir, please remember 59 RSS people or Karsevaks were unfortunately killed in that fire. So let us remember that there should be fairness and balance, and that fairness and balance should be there. It should not be stereotyping any party. And Mohanlal acknowledged this in the Facebook writing, where he said, it is my responsibility to see to it that there is no hatred against any community or political party. So you cannot brush and brand the entire RSS BJP right-wing spectrum as bad. See, I have nuanced points.
But there are films which are being done which, which target the Congress and the Congress's failures, whether it's in Kashmir, whether it's in 1984, that's okay. So it almost seems that whoever is in power can now set the agenda for films. Now the RSS is in power, they can demand cuts. If the Congress was in power, they would have demanded cuts. How is the RSS different then?
I would say it is fairness and balance that really matter. To every truth and fact, there is a fairness and balance context, and that should be maintained. And that's a very legitimate ask from them too. And please remember, a huge arena of Mohanlal fans are the RSS Sangh cadre. They were disappointed that Lalatan or Mohanlal took such a step of taking a one-sided view. That's the reason why everyone was requesting the nuance in US language, pivot a bit more. So Lalatan pivoted more to the center from a left of center view. And right now I think the movie is more acceptable. But the core issue here is we should always portray balance when, regarding Godhra or Gujarat. Both are scars on our soul.
Right.
So it should have a balanced portrayal and a nuanced portrayal. That nuance was missing, and I'm happy that it came back. I hope this film will get to 400 crores and will lead the way. The movie is great, but a bit more balance was needed. I think that balance was restored.
The question, of course, is who will decide what is balance and what is not. At the moment, it seems the RSS decides, and the RSS is playing the role of the censor, the sort of super censor in deciding what is acceptable and what is not. And that perhaps is troubling, because the moment a political organization gets into film censorship, then you're opening the doors for greater and greater censorship in the future. I would have always thought what Kerala thinks today, India should think tomorrow. But in this instance, that would be very worrying for the rest of the country. I appreciate my guest joining me here on the show tonight. Thanks very much on our top talking point. Let's turn to our Get Real India story. Now, you will recall a few years ago, Hyderabad Central University was in the eye of a storm over the suicide of a student, Rohit Vemula. Among others, Rahul Gandhi had raised the issue, saying a student from the Dalit community had been targeted. It is, all these years later, once again, students versus the state in Telangana. Only this time, the Congress is the government in power there. Hyderabad Central University has turned into a political battlefield over the last few days, with students protesting against the auction of land for an IT park. The Revanth Reddy government claims the land belongs to the government, while the BJP is alleging police high-handedness against the university students. It all seems to have changed as to who is facing the students' ire, from Rohit Vemula to now the latest controversy. Get Real India.
Hyderabad University rocked by protests. Revanth Reddy government versus students over the auction of the university's 400-acre land for an IT park. The students claim the auctioned land is part of the university, leading to a mass boycott of classes against what they call illegal encroachment.
Why can't you feel the pain of the creatures in the university? There are so many species which are going to extinct, and we want to protect our land along with the diversity.
ये लैंड एचयू की है, थी और रहेगी. ये रेवंत रेड्डी सरकार सुन ले. वो जमीन सरकार की नहीं थी.
On Monday, cops cracked down on protesting students.
We were peacefully protesting in our own land. We have denied the freedom of speech and freedom of expression. I would like to ask the Congress-led government and to Rahul Gandhi, where is your Mohabbat ki dukan right now? Where is your red constitution right now?
But the university fight has taken a political turn. BJP claims high-handedness by Revanth Reddy, while the Congress claims the land belongs to the government, not the university.
Whether it belongs to SU or not, if the land belongs to the government, does it mean that any land belonging to the government has to be auctioned and sold? This is the fate of the Telangana, that the Congress government is following the same policy of the TRS. TRS then similarly has auctioned hundreds and hundreds of acres of land, thousands of acres of land, and minted money.
They just wanted to mislead the people. Now they are alleging my chief minister, saying that he is selling some properties and running the government. Then what should I tell when in the last 10 years, Narendra Modi has disinvested so much of PSUs? You take Air India, you take LIC, you take recently, They were supposed to sell that Vishaka steel plant also.
The BJP's youth wing has now declared a Chalo HCU march likely to trigger a big escalation. BRS's KT Rama Rao also lashed out at the Congress, reminding Rahul Gandhi of his visits at the Hyderabad University during the Rohit Vemula showdown. The Telangana government will continue to clear the forest land next to the university, despite the students demanding the auction be called off. With Abdul Bashir in Hyderabad, Bureau Report, India Today.
Troubling scenes there in Telangana. Let's turn to tonight's Good News Today story. The summer has arrived and a new bird park has been opened in Mumbai, where over 500 birds from 70 different species are being taken care of. The bird lovers are working round the clock to ensure proper treatment of birds. Here's our Good News Today story of the day.
Summers are here, and while we have ways to beat the heat, have you ever thought about how birds survive? At Mumbai's bird park located in Gurai, over 500 feather friends get special summer care. Home to 70 different species, visitors can meet the winged wonders of nature up close. From playful and talkative parrot to exotic cockatoos who perch on your shoulder, these birds offer peace and joy.
हमारे इस एसएल वर्ल्ड बर्ड पार्क में करीबन 500 नंबर्स के आसपास बर्ड्स है, जो कि फ्री रेंजिंग जिसको बोलते हैं, जो आपके साथ हमारे साथ सबके साथ इंटरेक्ट करते हैं, और इनकी करीबन 67 to 70 स्पेसीज के डिफरेंट स्पेसीज के बर्ड्स है.
With dozens of bird friends working round the clock, every bird gets personalized attention, hydration and nutrition. The birds are also checked every 15 days for issues like weight maintenance and diet plans.
हर हफ्ते हर 15 दिन में डॉक्टर्स खुद आते हैं, इनका पूरा चेकअप होता है, सारे बर्ड्स का, उनका पूरा डेली बेसिस पे इनका वेट लिया जाता है, ताकि ज्यादा भी ना खाए और कम भी ना खाए. इस तरीके से सबका अलग अलग डाइट है, बर्ड वाइज डाइट अलग है.
On Gudi Parva, the park also welcomed 2 new tiny Swiss bird chicks, now fondly named as Gudi and Parva. This summer, let's make new feathered friends along the way. Bureau Report, India Today.
Nice to see some happy images on television for a change. Let's leave you tonight with our fact check segment. A viral video doing the rounds of Samajwadi Party leader Mahendra Yadav being beaten up. Our fact check team has found out that the video is false. It was from 2021 when the Karni Sena beat up Yadav for insulting, they said, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Let me leave you with that fact check. Just a reminder that we do this to ensure that we can, in our own small way, try and bust some of the fake news around you. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubh Ratri. Jai Hind. Namaskar.